G'day, I'm Trev, a proud son of a Vietnam veteran. Janna Laird created the Facebook group in Australia that was exclusive to children of Vietnam veterans back in 2011. She was motivated by horrific personal tragedies and by the lack of specialised emotional and psychological services for COVVs. Janna is joining me from my original home state Victoria here in Australia to tell us more about her Facebook group and the life as a COVV. Welcome, Janna.
Thank you, Trev. How you going?
I'm going great. Very good. How's the weather down there in Vic?
It is freezing.
I could tell you've got a big fluffy jacket on.
Yeah. It's about 6 degrees at the moment.
Oh
so,
my goodness, hence the jacket, I can understand. So let's get started by introducing your dad and tell the viewers what would you like to tell us about him?
Well, my dad was conscripted into Vietnam. He was only 19. He was a private, he was a gunner who served in the 6th Battalion, A Company, for about 9 or so months. To which then he was injured. He was shot in the leg and he was sent home. Yeah. So he was sent home after he was injured.
Was there any lasting injuries from that, like effects from that injury? I mean, did he have to walk with a cane or is he okay?
It's funny, we sort of have a funny joke in the family that Dad can never find his war wound. He can't even remember which leg it happened in. And it's become a Christmas sort of dinner funny story that we tell probably almost every year. So yeah, no, there's been no lasting effects.
From what I understand, PTSD has been the monkey on your back that sent you down many destructive paths as a teenager. Drugs, alcohol, and even a stint in jail. What would you like to share about those experiences? But to begin with, what was the catalyst that made this disorder attack you so aggressively?
Look, there was some childhood trauma, which I won't go into now. But that sort of led me astray. And I was sort of out of home at the age of 15.
Wow.
Living on my own in a different town away from my family, and was a drug addict at that age. So that started things off. But then in 2009, like I after having 2 babies and, many failed relationships, my partner and best friend of about 8 or so years, he rang me up one day and started threatening to commit suicide. So I stayed on the phone with him for hours, and then eventually he ended up shooting himself while I was on the phone to him.
Far out.
So just, listed, it was sort of, it was very traumatic in the sense that, you heard the gunshot and, it was sort of unbelievable. We were in different towns at the time, so I couldn't get to him straight away. But yeah, so, and I think, that little trauma itself, but then I actually went and viewed his body. And at the coroner's office, I forced them to let me see his head, which was one of the smartest but one of the stupidest things I've ever done in my life. At the time of when it happened, I really felt that I needed to see him because I'd heard it, but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So I needed to see his face, and it was probably the worst thing I ever did, to be honest.
So did you think, like, by wanting to see it, that would help with the pain that you were feeling from his death? It might have brought some closure into it, because most people would, after hearing that gunshot, would like, no way, no, I'd actually want to see the results of what happened.
No, well, it was one of those things where, you get to the coroner's office and you're still in, I don't think I stopped crying for weeks on end. But when I went there, it was like one of those split-minute decisions. Should I do it or shouldn't I do it? This is going to be a lasting effect on my life. And I just had to see it for myself. Hearing it was one thing, but seeing it was another. But I've now had to live with that image in my head for the rest of my life. So, yeah, so that's really taken me down a massive, massive trauma mode in life. Yeah.
What's his name?
Matthew Hogan.
Matthew.
That photo was actually the last photo of him that was ever taken. It was taken the week before he passed away. So I really hold on to that photo. I really hold on to the photos of him with my children as well, because he was, the father that they didn't have, even though he wasn't biological father. But that lasting moment of him ruining my life. So I've got so many different aspects about how I feel about him. I have come to peace with it.
Yeah.
It's just something that I've had to learn to live with. It did ruin my life, and I'm still here suffering. But I think I will to the end, till I die. I'll always miss him, Yeah. So, yeah.
It's disgusting how, like, you've had so many of your friends, lost their own life from PTSD, but thankfully, your attempts on your own life were unsuccessful. I mean, what are you comfortable about sharing about that personal experience that you were feeling sad, alone, abandoned, without hope, and how did you fight back?
Look, I'm pretty much an open book these days. It's been a long, hard road. It really has. At the same time, when all this happened with my partner, everything sort of fell apart. Yeah. I got back on the drugs. I couldn't handle life at all. I was removed from my children. My family, thankfully, my family were able to look after my children. My children didn't end up in a system or anything like that. And are still with my parents to this day. So I've never regained my children. So it's been a very long process of, and like you said, loneliness, my abandonment issues, all that sort of stuff, wanting to blame everybody else for my poor decisions. And I suppose because, other people caused these things to happen to me, I felt like I wasn't responsible, and why should I be responsible? But, yeah, it took me many years to realise that I'm the adult, I've got children that need me, and I need to sort of man up and take responsibility for my adult decisions. So, yeah, it's been a long, hard road.
Who's this in the background?
Yeah, so that's my son, Jordan. So because of my drug use and the lifestyle that I was living, my children were removed from me when they were only 7 and 4. So, and that was when Matthew passed away. So, and there was a period of time where from 2014 up until a couple of years ago, I didn't see my children at all, no contact whatsoever. But a couple of years ago, my son, Jordan, in that photo, he went to his own lawyer. He got his own lawyer. He was only 17 when he did it. I was actually in jail at the time. And he removed himself off all the orders, and he just wanted his mum back in his life. And he's the reason I am still sitting here to this day, he's been such a blessing to me, and he's such a good kid, and I'm really, really proud of him.
Wow,
I really am.
What a courageous young man. Go and get his own lawyer. You said he went and got his own lawyer.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He went and got his own lawyer, and but I also think he was brought up by my dad as well, and my mum. But having, I know how I was brought up with Dad, and we were taught respect, morals, and how to do things right, without the whinging, pretty much. Yeah. And Jordan's so much like Dad as well. I love it.
To lose a friend and a partner like that, and going through all those tragedies in your life. But so was that a factor in you for starting up your Facebook group, Sons and Daughters of Vietnam Veteran, and how has that helped your own healing and other people within your group? I believe that you started it because you found that Open Arms that was lacking a particular service. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, look, as you're aware, it used to be the Vietnam Veterans Counselling Service, and as soon as my partner committed suicide, I started seeing them again, and have been seeing them on and off for years, which was helpful. But in just after my partner committed suicide, within, it was about 12 months to 2 years, I had 3 close people who were family friends, who were sons and daughters of Vietnam veterans, also commit suicide.
Wow.
And it was in a very short time. And then in 2011, I attempted suicide as well. So, in this time, there was, the 4 of us, and, I had all these other, friends that were sons and daughters of vets who were on drugs. We all had this, we all had these horrible lives going on. And that's not blaming being a Vietnam veteran's child at all. It's, but I think it may have had something to do with it, in regards to intergenerational PTSD.
Yeah.
So that's why I started the group in 2011, because I was tired of seeing my friends die. And I suppose it brought up a lot of questions for me, are we statistics? Is this the life of a Vietnam veteran? Because that was the one thing that we all had in common. It wasn't just drugs and domestic violence and all that sort of stuff. It was that we were children of Vietnam veterans. And, that's, like I said, that's not putting any blame on our parents whatsoever. It's just, we are a sort of minority. And in my own way, I couldn't get the answers that I needed. So I thought, why not start up a group and see who else out there needs the help that I need as well.
Who is Denise Kennedy? And how valuable is her contribution to you as a friend and to your group in terms of being a support to your members? Tell us a little bit about your friendship with her.
Yeah, so Denise was a constant person in the group, and she was monitoring it just as much as what I was, but from the very start. And I saw this, and because I was having so many issues, my drug addiction had, was flaring up all the time, and, it was 20 plus years of drug addiction. So, there were times where I just couldn't run the group. My head was elsewhere. I just couldn't do it. So, and also the majority of people in my group are actually from America. So I sort of needed that US counterpart to help me in, there's so many questions in regards to Veterans Affairs over in America, which I just couldn't answer. So I asked her to become an admin of my group as well, and she's been an absolute blessing to me. I had nothing but lovely words to say about Denise. She has been there for me when I've been at my worst, and I couldn't have been able to run this group without her. I really couldn't. She's a real blessing.
What an amazing friend that you have, and from the other side of the world, that is giving you so much comfort in times of need. But not just that, is giving. How many? You said you got about 2,000 odd members.
There's about 2,000. Look, and it's not many, but I'm finding that lately we're getting more members and more members and more members. I think people are now starting to really open up and talk about our issues, and it's starting to become the norm rather than something that's not talked about. None of us want to upset our parents, because that's not what this is about. It's about us being a family, and having something in common and being able to run things off each other, and and even just I find just mostly people just love to post photos of their dads, and speak highly of them, and and because we all love our dads, that's why we're here.
That's so true.
Yeah, we do. I adore my dad. He's he was my best friend. Unfortunately, we don't have a relationship at the moment, but we're working on that. But yeah, so it's I feel like we've really helped people. I get people thanking me all the time just for being there. Do you know what I mean? And letting people express their emotions and their feelings, and even just telling their story, they get so much healing from it. And I'm very proud to say that I'm a part of that.
That's 2,000 people that have been out there for the search to go, you know what, I'm not alone. There are other people out there who I can relate to their stories and theirs to mine. So fantastic on what you're doing. It just that leads me on to what other services, in your opinion, should be made available specifically for children of Vietnam veterans?
Yeah, look, back when it was still the Vietnam Veterans Counselling Service, they used to hold, and I used to attend them, group info sessions where they would help us learn to understand our parent. They would give us info sheets on, even just Vietnam itself and where the battles were and where this happened and where that happened. And, and I thought they were really good. Of course, they were always bickering among the sons and daughters, because you get some that stand up to their parents, and then you get the others that don't want to stick up to their parents.
Yeah.
So that became a bit of an issue, but I still feel like, there needs to be, and I'm still with Open Arms to this day. I still see a psychologist through Open Arms.
Yeah.
And I find it's helpful, but I really believe, group things are something that we really need to get happening. And I suppose, in a way, having this Sons and Daughters group on Facebook is a way of doing that. It's, Open Arms is now open to all wars, but I've always believed that Vietnam is different. I feel Vietnam is very different to the other wars that took place. Vietnam should have happened. It should never.
Is that also because how they were treated when they came home? Do you feel that is a big contributing factor there?
Absolutely. These days, veterans are really put on a pedestal, and that's great. I think that's fantastic. But Vietnam was very different. Those men came home different men, and I'm sure they come home different from other wars as well. But to be conscripted, my dad was a country football recruit. He just gotten in to play with Footscray just before he was drafted to Vietnam. So he went from this country boy football player to a trained killer. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's people choose to go to war, but when you were conscripted, it was a complete different story. And these men were ruined. They really were. And it's just heartbreaking. So I feel Vietnam it's a very different, I think we have different problems than to the rest of the wars, I believe anyway.
People are contacted and go, you know what, from your group, it's given me the courage to reach out to my dad and we're reconnected again. That's all that we're in it for, isn't that right?
That's exactly right. And I'm very proud of the fact that we can do that and provide that platform for people to do it in, and people are so thankful, and, it really helps me get by and helps me heal as well. So, yeah.
Hi, this is Janna again. Listen, after the podcast, Trevor and I actually realised that I hadn't actually given that message of hope at the end of it, to make, everyone see that it is possible to recover. You know, I'm almost 40 and I was on drugs from about the age of 13 or 14. You know, homelessness, domestic violence, failed relationships, you know, lost my children, lost my family, lost everybody I've known pretty much. But I'm coming out the other side of it now, and I just wanted to let you guys know that, yeah, I've been 2.5 years clean now, and I'm doing heaps better. You know, I've learnt forgiveness, and I've learnt not to be angry, and well, I'm always learning. But you know, it's all looking up, and having my eldest son in my life is just an absolute blessing. He is an absolute blessing. I couldn't be doing this without him. So I just wanted to pop on here and just add that to this podcast, because I didn't want it to come across as a sob story, because it's not. It's actually a story of hope and a story of success, in the process of success anyway. Alright, thanks guys. See ya.
Janna, you're incredibly brave to share so openly with us. It saddens me that so many children of Vietnam veterans have struggled alone and for so long. I appreciate your wonderful group, Sons and Daughters of Vietnam Veterans, that I too am a member of, and for everything it's doing to bring COVV community together. It is bringing healing and comfort, because COVVs finally know that they're not alone. They're not the only ones suffering, and that they are part of a family. I'll include below all the details about Janna's incredible group. I highly recommend COVVs to be a part of it. In addition, if you are a child of a Vietnam veteran, you can join our exclusive family, Vietnam Veterans Children Worldwide, via the link below. Here you'll find kindness, understanding, and hopefully lifelong friendships. Be safe, be well, and please remember to reach out to any professional services listed below should you need them. Our parents went to war, but we endure the fight. See you next time.